Today I'm going to show you some really cool builds in The Sims 4. So we recently did a shell challenge where basically I built a weird box shell of a building and I put it on the gallery and challenged all of you to turn that box into an actual Sims build. These are always really cool because everybody has the same starting point and yet somehow we all come out with the most interesting things. I'll build a cottage, you'll make a restaurant, someone else will make like an alien spaceship or something. It's just so fun how we all had this to work with and then made it into so many different cool things. So this is the shell that we had this time. We called it the SimsieChicken shell because somehow accidentally it kind of looks like a chicken, like it's got a beak, it's got legs. I did not intend for this to happen and yet somehow it did. The rules for these challenges are pretty simple. You just download this box and then turn it into something. Pretty much everything is fair game. You can rotate the lot, you can make the walls taller, you can put it on a different lot, you can add foundations and platforms and roofs and you can add literally anything. The only thing that you can't do is change the existing walls. The whole point of these is that this shell of the shell challenge stays the same. So as long as that is the case, you can pretty much do anything else. So for example, you can obviously add a floor plan, make some bedrooms, you can put like windows and literally everything can be added. The only thing you can't do is like, oh, I don't know, delete this wall or like add an extra room on the outside because that changes the shell. I won't lie, this one was actually really difficult for me because it's only one story. For some reason, the 2-story ones are a little bit easier to work with, but I think the roof on these smaller ones is a little bit harder. And so with all of that being introduced, I want to show you some of the builds that came out of this shell this time. I do also want to say that obviously I can only tour a few of these in the video. I would love to show off like all of your builds, but unfortunately there are a lot of you and only one of me, and I just can't make a video long enough to show them all. I really wish that I could. So just because I didn't show off your build in this video does not mean that it's not a good one. I promise there are so many cool ones on the gallery. If you want, I highly recommend doing a little scroll through the, okay, if it would load. But if you want, you could go scroll through the gallery page. It's hashtag SimsieChicken on the gallery. You could scroll around and look at some people's builds because there really are so many good ones. The first one that I want to show you though is the Basegame Midcentury Villa by emikoyo on the gallery because I was so impressed by the exterior of this lot. Think about how small that shell build was and then notice how this is on a 50 by 50 lot. Oh, and also it's all base game. I mean, look at this. So here is Emmy's version of the shell and as you can see, there is a lot to take in on this lot. They've used a lot of debug pieces like this to kind of make the lot look curvy, so it kind of curves around this fountain pond space. There's also a lot of use of platforms to kind of layer up the landscaping. I don't know, I'm so impressed by this. I can't imagine how long it must have taken to do this build. All the way back here, we've got like some custom beams placed to make like a little hangout space in the corner. We've got a custom pool shape where they've placed a bunch of these column things again to make the pool look like it's curved. The pool itself is actually kind of jagged edge, obviously because you can't have curved pools in The Sims 4, but using those pieces to make it look rounded is really smart. There's all of this backyard space over here. I mean, there's literally so much to take in on this lot. I think it's really smart to make use of these debug wall pieces and stuff to kind of extend the house out because you aren't allowed to add walls. This is the main shell of the building, but they put like just windows, fake windows placed to make it look like a wall. They've got this debug wall to look like a wall. Over here, same thing with the windows to kind of make it look like it's extended out, but really it's a carport that's kind of faked. You're allowed to add like extra walls not touching the building. Like this is totally fair game, but you aren't allowed to add any walls that touch. So a lot of people do like sneaky tricks like this with the windows or with half walls to kind of get around that rule. It's really smart. And then actually on the inside of the building, you walk in, we've got this amazing like customized front door. There's a little like desk nook in the corner and you can walk downstairs into a huge living room with a custom couch. They've made this really nice TV area. Over here, we've got a small kitchen and dining room. They've got a little bathroom. This is that like extra room. They snuck in and they made it into like a little indoor patio space. And then we also have one bedroom back here and a little ensuite bathroom for those Sims. I think this lot is so good. I know I could sit here and like rave about it forever, but I'm really impressed by the color scheme, the landscaping. This one is just really cool. I gotta move on so we can actually get through the rest. This next one is the Loft with Infinity Pool by buildsbyemma. I think I really love the landscaping on this one too. It's a super different vibe, as you can see, but we've got like these little tiny stones placed to make like a small bit of grass area in the desert here. And I love the use of these stones and desert plants to kind of landscape on platforms around the building. I just think this is so beautiful. Back here is that infinity pool they were talking about. There's also a sunken fire pit down in this area. I love seeing how people furnish the exteriors of builds like this because the shell itself is kind of small, so it's so fun to see how people fill in the rest of the space. To me, this is just so realistic. It looks like such a nice, like fancy, modern, mansion-y type house. Granted, Granted, it's not so much of a mansion, but you know what I mean. On the inside, you walk in through the front door right here, and they've got a little tiny bathroom off to the side, and then we have a huge open floor plan, and this is where it's so cool because it's lofted. All of the walls are tall wall height, and we've kind of made like a fake second floor. The living space is all down here on that first floor. We've got the kitchen, we have the little dining room, we've got a small living space here with a fireplace, and then you go up these stairs to a huge platform, and there's like a second living room that also has access to a balcony, and there's also this bedroom right here with an ensuite bathroom. I just thought this was such a smart way to include this. I don't really often think about building things with the tall wall height and then kind of split leveling it like this, but it looks really cool. It's a fun workaround for like not being able to add a second floor to the shell challenge. I thought it was really impressive. I want to show you another one that is completely different. Again, this one is a restaurant, and you can see already completely different vibes with this build. This one is by littledica, who's actually a good friend of mine and also a CC creator, so you might have heard of him, but he's built an Italian restaurant, and I'm gonna make fun of him for a second because littledica is actually Italian, like lives in Italy Italian, and so we often joke in my stream to him about that and kind of like, you know, poke fun about Olive Garden and stuff and how Olive Garden is the only actual authentic Italian restaurant. So when he built this, I was kind of mocking him like, well, it's no Olive Garden, but I guess it'll do. And we were kind of laughing about the menu, like, I don't know, I don't think this will work because there's no breadsticks. It seems kind of fake to me. And we were kind of joking about the menu, even being like, oh, I don't know, I don't think this will work. There's no breadsticks. It just doesn't feel right. And now I'm sorry to say that I'm making fun of you again in front of all of my YouTube friends. But anyway, this is the build. It's really, really good. This is the kind of lot that I'm probably going to place down in like my everyday saves and like have my Sims come and visit because I think it blends into this world so well. I love the color scheme, and I like especially how we've used these weird bump outs to make like special decorative bits to hold the signs. Also, this little like seating area outdoors with the string lights, it's so beautiful. There's some more outdoor seating over here, and there's also like a little covered bar and dance floor in this area. It looks really good at nighttime too. As you can see, it's very beautiful over here. And then when you actually go inside, you can check in right here, and you walk in, there's a bunch more tables indoors. We've got a little bathroom in this corner over here, and then off to the back, this is where that kitchen is. It's very small, but it does function. And there's like a little like employee space for the trash cans and everything outside. I think this is so great. And you know what? Small lots like this are actually really good for community lots because you can only have like 24 Sims or something on your lot at a time. So when you've got a smaller space, it feels a lot more full. When they're spread out across like 3 floors of restaurant, it kind of feels empty, but in a small space like this, it feels really, really lively, and I love that about it. I will, by the way, list all of these builds in a row in the description box with the gallery ID and also the build name so that you can find them all. This next one is Aunt Emma's Cottage. It's by CharlyZeu on the gallery, and I just thought the color scheme of the pink and yellow was so cute. I want to take a second to point out just how different the vibes of this cottage are from that last build, and remind you that they are all the exact same shell. Like, this box is the same as this box. In fact, it's oriented the same way too. But I am just obsessed with the landscaping here. I love the little pond and the little stone pathway to walk you around to the back. We've got a little space for the telescope and some garden planters and stuff. I just think it's so, so, so cute. When you actually walk into the inside of the house, there's like a little entryway space right here. Super cluttered up, adorable. There's like little gardening tools stored underneath this bench. We've got like the mail and everything sat there. In here, we've got like the kitchen, living, dining space. There's a kitchen right here in the front of the house, and then we've got like a dining table and small cozy living room. Over here, we have one bathroom, and there's also a couple of bedrooms here. They managed to fit in like 3 rooms, which is kind of impressive. We've got a really small kids room right here. We've got like a little art studio office, and we have a main like double bed suite right here with an ensuite bathroom. I especially loved this custom sliding barn door they did. You can see they've put this together with the tool mod and these little like pieces, and they've like combined them all together individually to make it look like a sliding barn door. I just think that is so cool. This is the other thing about these shells that is so interesting to me, because I managed to fit in 2 bedrooms and they were very small. So I'm looking at this like, how on earth did you fit in 3 rooms? Like, I struggled so much with my floor plan, and then I look at this one and it just makes so much sense. It's so fun to see how everybody like cuts up their builds and divides the floor plans. It is just so fascinating to me. I'm sorry if it seems like I'm skipping ahead too fast, but I'm realizing that I'm spending a long time on each of these, and I probably need to go a little bit faster to get through them all. This next one is the Sweet Starter Home by MdamaNordica, and I picked this one because you don't often see starters for shell challenges. I guess normally the ones that I do are a little bit bigger, so this is kind of a better opportunity for that, but I just loved this. I thought it was so smart, and I also can't believe it's only 20,000 simoleons. There is a very impressive amount of debug landscaping on this lot for a starter home. I feel like I have a lot that I could learn from this because I struggle with landscaping a lot, and I think this looks really, really good. The wall, especially with the little grass, I think is so pretty. We also have this little carport off to the side with like some custom debug fencing. In the back, there's a pond. We also managed to fit in some like actual patio furniture, like a chess table and like a little dining table and bench and stuff. We can definitely take some notes from this one, I think, because when it comes to doing a starter home, I think a pond is actually a really smart idea because the pond is free. And there's a lot of like debug pond type stuff that you can put on there that is also free. It's just so hard to fill in big empty lots when you're doing starter homes. So using debug fences and like the ponds and things, using those free items to fill in the area is a really good idea. And then when you actually come inside, the door is right here. It walks you into like a little study space. There's a desk and a computer, so very functional. We've got a small living room. It even has a TV and a fireplace, also very functional. Using these custom paintings is pretty smart as well. Oh, that one is 3,216 simoleons. Oh my gosh. This house could probably be cheaper if you deleted that. But the custom paintings off the gallery are pretty smart too to fill in the wall space. We've got like a little kitchen lined up back here. There's a small door to take you out to the back patio. We've got a really big bathroom. And we also fit in 2 bedrooms, 1 double bedroom and 1 kid's bedroom. And honestly, I think another tip for starter homes is if you can make some slightly bigger rooms like this, even if they're kind of empty, there's good space for like expanding in this area. So eventually when you get enough money, you could really easily turn this into 2 bathrooms instead, and then have one be an ensuite like right here, and then have one be in the hall. You kind of have to walk that line though of like making it easily expandable, but also making it not look too empty. So it's hard to find the size that's right for this sort of thing. But considering this is a shell, I think the floor plan is so well done. It's also just a beautiful house. I think it's really, really pretty. It's so fun how different they all look from the original. I love this. I know I sit here and like swoon about them, but I really, really enjoy shell challenges. Here we go again to a completely different vibe. This is the Rustic Oasis home. This one is by ZombieEm on the gallery, and you can see it is a totally different look, but it's so beautiful. I was really impressed by their use of these decorative roof pieces, especially because they feel like they fit in so well. Like to me, that is the perfect size for this. And obviously it's a shell challenge, so you can't change the scale of the build. It just worked out so well that they happen to fit perfectly. I also love this pergola in the back and like all of the bright pink flowers. I just think this backyard with the fountain and the table and even the chickens is so cozy. Then when you actually walk inside, the front door is right here and you come into this like small kitchen living dining area. There's a lot of blue accents in here, which looks so cute with the like more terracotta tile. And then off that, we have a little hallway that'll take you into 2 bedrooms and 2 bathrooms. These rooms are also really nicely sized. Again, I struggled so much to fit all of this stuff into my floor plan, and somehow miraculously it just like came together for everybody else, it seems like, because these rooms fit perfectly. This one's even got like a balcony and an ensuite bathroom. We also managed to fit in laundry in here, which I often fail to be able to include, so I was impressed by that. I mean, overall, this house is just so cute. All right, again, kind of pivoting when it comes to style. This is the Contemporary Cottage by Jessica with a bunch of H's. I love how quirky the shape of this roof is, and I mean that as like a serious compliment. I think it's so fun. It's such a like interesting architectural detail on this build. They made use of a lot of roof pieces to make the space look more interesting because obviously you can't add like extra walls and stuff, and I love that about this. I especially loved this back patio space right here because this is just such a clever idea. There's so much debug being used here. I'll show you like the underside first. This is kind of on top of a lot of the space, but there's also like some fake walls being built here. So you know that weird bump out where the beak of the chicken is? That is right here. So they've used it as like half of the bathroom and also as like a little closet shed space right here, which is so clever. And you also have a staircase right next to it leading up to this back patio. And then they use these big debug pieces to kind of build out the patio to make it more evenly spaced. And it just looks so cool. I have never ever used these before. This is actually supposed to be only this big and they sized it up a bunch. And it looks like such a fun piece of lattice. I feel like I look at these builds and I learn so much and I get so many ideas from all of you because that is such a cool concept. They have that lattice kind of continuing over here as like a cover on the back door. And then we also have like a little garden space back here. They use these like little planter boxes and put like actual landscaping in them. And it's just so cozy. The terrain paint is so well done. Like I am obsessed with the outside of this house. And then on the inside, you walk in from right here underneath this beautiful archway and you walk into like a little entry space right here. We've got a gallery wall and everything. Then we have a little living room right here. You walk further back into a bigger dining room and we also have a really decent sized kitchen. I love the look of these aprons hung up on the door, by the way. That leads you into the little office space right here. And then through this door, we also have that main bedroom with a fireplace, which is amazing. And then they have that ensuite bathroom. And overall, this floor plan is so clever. But really for me, I love this patio on the back. I think that is so beautiful, especially considering like the views from out here. Like they put this on that lot in Brindleton Bay where the like museum used to be. And so everywhere around this space has such gorgeous views. And I love like making use of that in the back. I don't know. It's a pretty house. Here's a fun one. This is the Feathered and Furry Clinic by MK3304. And we don't see a lot of vet clinics, so it's kind of cool to see one of these built. I really loved the exterior of this build because it looks so realistic to me, like such a normal looking real life building. And it's also so different from any of the other shell pieces. Like this is indistinguishable from the other shells we've been looking at. So when you first walk up, we've got like a little walkway porch space, and there's a lot of beautiful landscaping, including some like chicken topiaries and little like dog mailboxes. And then you walk around, there's a front door here, but there's also a little path into the back. And in that back, we've got like some dog training spaces. There's lots of little pet toys around. There's even some picnic tables and like some dog beds and old dog food. We turned that really weird like 2x1 chicken beak into a little storage shed, which also makes so much sense for a build like this. There's a perfect little nook for the trash cans. Like to me, this is such a realistic looking build. And then when you actually walk in, we've got this amazing little waiting room right here where it has, of course, the check-in stuff and like the vet vending machine. And then it goes into like a big hallway, which is also very realistic. And from there, you can get to like the little bathroom and also all of the like vet rooms that you need. So there's like an operating table and all that stuff. We've got like a little office space right here. And to me, this is such a perfect build to play in. Like if any of you want to be playing as a vet anytime soon, this one is great. You should look into downloading it. I just love this. I think it's all so cute. Something else a lot of people did was take that chicken idea very literally. So I saw a lot of chicken restaurants on the gallery for this one. This is the Chicken Woods restaurant by Mocha Storm 89. This one is about a witch that used to curse children and turn them into chickens. Anyway, I just loved how it's all on stilts like above this beautiful water. I think it is so pretty out here. There's also so much to look at all around here, but when you first walk up these stairs, there's like kind of a dock or like walkway space that leads you over to some outdoor seating and also the front door of the restaurant. You walk in, there's like the little check-in desk and a bunch of tables and stuff. Obviously, we have the huge kitchen area and some bathrooms inside, but I think most importantly is the outdoor space. Oh my god. I don't know if the sky likes this build. It's mad at the witch for cursing the children and making them into chickens, but oh, it's still going. Florida is scary. It's very stormy today. Anyway, upstairs, we have this beautiful glass roof, first of all, above those like tables downstairs. But up here, we've got this like center stage area for performances and then tables all around it that can look out at the view. And even like aside from the view down here, this lot really isn't a beautiful area. There's also a bar upstairs. And I just think this would be such a nice restaurant to come visit in real life. I didn't actually look at the menu yet, so I'm not sure what they sell. It looks like just like your classic diner food. Luckily, the kid chickens are not involved in this. Okay, this one is also a super different vibe, but it did take that chick thing very literally. This is the CHICKFLICKS Cinema and Bar. It's a cinema, restaurant, and nightclub. And you might load in here and think like, oh, that looks a little bit bigger than the shell. Like, how is that allowed? Well, it's actually two of the shells. If you look downstairs, there's two of them kind of mirrored to each other. And you know what? I'm gonna say it's fair game. I think that's fine because this is so cool. Like, technically, we wouldn't allow people to, you know, add a second floor or whatever. But here's my thought process on this. When it comes to a shell challenge, the rules are more of just a guideline. And if you've got a really cool idea, who is stopping you from trying to execute that idea, right? If you need to fudge the rules a little bit, I mean, like, really, who cares? At the end of the day, this was built with the shell in mind. That was kind of the whole purpose of this whole downstairs. So as far as I'm concerned, that is fair game. So when you first walk up, there's like a little open entranceway right here. To the right is like that nightclub space where the DJ is and the dance floor and the bar. There's like some tables and seating and everything. Over here, there's more of like a lounge space that even has a restaurant set up. And then outside, there's lots more seating. Upstairs, we've got even more seating and like some bar spaces on the top of the roof. And you just look at the view while you're sitting up here. Could you imagine? Oh my God, there's a salad. You can come get some dinner. But imagine sitting here and looking out over this. It is just such a clever idea, even down to like them making a sign with individual pieces of lights. I have tried to do this before and I always struggle to make it not look ugly. Like it's really hard for me to like make the lines look okay. So I'm impressed by this one. Next up is the SimsieChicken shell by Victornik. Clinic, who in the description says it is their first time ever doing a shell challenge. It's kind of got like little modern home vibes. Storming still. It doesn't usually storm early enough in the day to like interrupt my recording, so that's interesting. Anyway, this house I just think is so clever. I am obsessed with everything going on the roof here. I mean, even just the roof shape, like with the solar panels and glass roof on one side and then that green roof on the other side, I think is so cool. But then to top it off, there's even like a rooftop space where you can actually hang out and like go on the lounge chairs and use the telescope and stuff, and I love it. The backyard isn't huge because it's kind of a small lot, but in the back we've got some more little hangout space. There's an easel even. There's a little small pool over here, which kind of gives off hot tub vibes, I won't lie, and I love the like trellis on top. And when you actually come inside, I just adore the color scheme in here, and honestly this floor plan I think makes perfect sense. You walk in, there's a small entry and like a little tiny bathroom right here. We also have a little small living room area in this side, a little dining space right here, which I really enjoyed the use of these panel pieces on top of. I think it looks so cool. And there's more of like a galley kitchen style back in this corner that will lead straight out to the backyard. And then we have 2 bedrooms. We've got one bigger bedroom with like the built-ins next to the fireplace. And to be honest, I never noticed like how well these bookshelves fit next to this particular fireplace. But now that I've seen it, I'm like taking notes because I might steal that. This room has got an ensuite bathroom, and then we have a kid's bedroom back here in the corner, which is also so cute. I think I also really enjoyed the use of this like beak of the chicken and turning it into a chimney, because that's a pretty smart way to use that kind of weird shape. They also put a little trash can nook kind of right next to that and then hit it with some panels, which I really enjoyed. Overall, I just can't get over the roof though. I really love the top of this house. I don't usually do a lot with the roof. Like I don't usually try and make the roof into a feature, I guess. I feel like I could learn from that too with this one. And that's kind of the beauty of these as well, is there's so much that we can learn from each other with this stuff, because so many of us have such different ideas and uses for items. It's so fun to see how like you might use a thing that I completely forgot even existed. And speaking of things that I forgot even existed, this is the Basegame Family Starter by Anair3 on the gallery, who always uses the coolest debug stuff that I just don't even realize we have to make like the coolest builds. This one is a starter home. I know I show off Anair3's builds in like every single shell tour, but like how can I not show you this? So here is this version of the house, and there is a lot to take in on the exterior here. You can see we've got like a huge pond. There's like a little rounded patio piece hanging out over the water. We've got this terrain manipulation leading us up into a driveway for a car. In the back of the house, there's a huge patio and like some kids play areas. When you first walk in here, we've got this like little entryway space, and they've used a lot of base game flooring to make like really customized spaces. So for example, this is just that default concrete. The default concrete that like your room defaults to in The Sims 4 when you build a new room. This is that default concrete, but in 2 different colors. And when you press Control F, you get these little quarter tiles. So they've combined all of that to make a custom pattern. Same thing in the kitchen with a custom floor pattern. They've also used fake stuff to make custom lights. Those aren't even really lights. They made them using debug items. Look at this. How does one even think of that? These are also cabinets, but turned backwards to look more like a more natural wood, I guess. Over here, they've made like a completely custom built-in fireplace. Again, debug pieces. All of these little logs placed individually with debug. They made this entire thing with debug. There's like a little TV area and some shelves and stuff. Look at this. They also took these books using the tool mod and then turned them on their side a little bit to look like a custom bookshelf item. More debug clutter. I didn't even know there was a debug hairdryer. I've never seen that in my life, and they used it in here. We've got that custom flooring in the bathroom too. Same thing in here to make like a custom bedroom rug, basically. They also made like some custom nightstands and headboards and stuff. And then over here, we've got a second bedroom that also has some custom things placed. And I find it so impressive how much effort would have gone into making this starter home. Anyway, I could sit here and ramble about each of these for so long, but I do have one last build that I want to show you. Last, but certainly not least, and in no particular order, by the way, we've got lucky number 13. This is the colorful bar built by TrissOMG on the gallery. It's always fun to get new community lots, so I kind of try and like split in like half community lots, half houses for these sort of videos, and I really like this build. Again, very impressed by the roof line on this one. I've never thought to use roof pieces like this for a community lot, but I really like how they've used the roof to make a wall for the sign. Around the side, there's some super cute little landscaping, a little fountain. In the back, we've got some more fountains and some really adorable tables kind of around it. I love how they've taken these pots and then put plants in them. These are just base game pots. I have never thought to use them this way, but with that debug tree with the lights, it's so beautiful. When you come inside, you can see there's a lot of fun colors going on in here. I like to think that this pop art is kind of an inspiration for this space, and I really like it. There's just tables everywhere. There's even a little bit of lounge space right here, and I love this stage area and all the custom lights on the wall. We also have this bar space back here, and I really love how it kind of just blends into the wall. You actually have to get to the bar from the outside, so like the staff kind of have their own entrance into like a little staff break room and then into the bar area, and I really like that about this. They turned that beak of the chicken into the bathroom, which makes perfect sense. We've got some sinks right here and then one little toilet stall, and overall it's just a super playable, really adorable build. I could sit here and ramble on and show you all like a million more of these because there are so many incredible builds on the gallery. It's always so hard to pick which ones I should put in the tour video, so I try really hard to pick like a wide variety of things. There's obviously so many others that are absolutely amazing, and I highly recommend you do a little scroll through #SimsieChicken to see some more. Obviously, if the gallery would work, because sometimes it does this and it just doesn't. I mean, I have this problem too when I'm trying to pick the builds. I'm like trying to scroll through and at a certain point it just stops. It's very annoying. But if you like shell tour videos like this one, I've done a whole bunch on my channel, so I'll link some past ones down below. And if you want to do this shell challenge, you still totally can. It's really fun. But I've also got a new shell challenge coming up in a couple of weeks, so stay tuned for that if you want to try along with us. I just love the community aspect of this because we can all sit together and like do this build together. It's kind of fun. Can you tell I really like shell challenges? Because I really like shell challenges. I will stop rambling at you now though. Thank you so much for watching, and make sure you check out the builds that I showed off today. I'll have them listed all down below in the description box. And with that being said, I'm gonna catch you all tomorrow, okay? Bye everybody. I've seen loads of these on the gallery, but if you did one of these builds, tell me what you made in the comments because I am so curious to hear from all of you.